Hi, everyone. I'm Jackie Kingman from Columbus, and welcome to our webinar, Continuing the Journey to the Cloud, Dynamics GP to Dynamics 365 Business Central. Let's review our agenda. We're going to talk about the Dynamics GP roadmap, specifically around a recent announcement from Microsoft. We're going to discuss what's creating interest in moving to Business Central, a little bit about what is Business Central, some advantages of Business Central, some differences, talk about planning for a migration, and also we're going to read some feedback about what our customers said who just completed the journey to Business Central. Okay, let's get started. So the life cycle of Dynamics GP. We should all know that there was the mainstream support ending January 2023, and at one point, Microsoft said they wouldn't provide hot fixes, tax updates, or regulatory updates, okay, on the extended support program. So their recent announcement in July of 2021 announced that they would extend support past 2028, and also in extended support, you can get hot fixes now, tax updates, and relevant regulatory updates. You do have to stay on one of the service packs, right? Or you have to have an update, one of the 3 a year, usually June, October, and December. So that's what you need to do if you want to stay current. Okay. Let's talk about what's creating interest in moving to Dynamics 365 Business Central. Well, you may be on an old version of GP, lacking functionality as compared to the GP 2018 version. Or maybe you're on a not supported version, okay? Maybe your server needs replacing to mitigate data loss or security hacks. You may want to eliminate cost, your upgrade cost, your yearly enhancement cost, infrastructure cost. All that goes away when you move to the cloud with Business Central. So you need to consider all that when you're calculating your total cost of ownership. Next, mobility. Wow, these past 2 years have really taught us how we need to work remotely, right? So maybe you want to be in the cloud so you can access your information anywhere and perform your daily routine. Or maybe you have technicians on the road and they need to access service work order from tablets. Business Central is completely mobile. It's a fully enabled browser solution, and it can work on any device, anytime, anywhere. Another interest is dimensions in Business Central. So with dimensions, okay, think of them as attributes or categories, which you set up relative to your organization, okay? So whatever dimension you want to report on, you create. And then you tag it to a transaction when you're entering it and posting it. And then this provides the dimension attached to the transaction in which you can pull it back out and slice it and dice it any way you want. You can pull it out in dashboards. You can pull it out with Power BI. This provides for real-time insights across your organizations, right? For many users, whether it's your, C-suite or just your normal, staff of accountants, data at the fingertips. The Office 365 integration, it's one of my favorites. It integrates with Office 365 email, in which case you can have a user enter a sales order, a sales quote, send it to the customer, right? Enter a purchase order, a purchase quote, purchase invoice, all from your Outlook Office 365 email. It also integrates with Power Automate. You can create flows. It also, in this year, the wave 1 of 2021, Microsoft added Teams. So Microsoft keeps expanding the integration to Business Central from the Office 365 suite. Very exciting. Okay, what is Dynamics Business Central? Well, it's Microsoft's next-gen cloud-based solution, okay? It's written in an AL programming language, which replaced the C/AL programming language, which originally that's what Business Central was written in. But the advantage of this AL language is that it allows us to create customizations or added functionality easily. So we write it in the AL code, and now it's considered it's in an extension, right? And these extensions actually sit outside of the Business Central base code. So we can uninstall it, install it very easily, if we need to make changes to it. And it's seamless to the user, okay? When viewing, it's in the Business Central app. It's all about the back end that's written outside of the base code. It's a very nice advantage. our developers love writing in AL and with extensions. Business Central is also an all-in-one business management solution that helps customers improve customer relationships by streamlining processes, right? I'm going to show you later on in the demo how I can get a sales order from a customer and I can create it in Business Central and send the confirmation all from Outlook in less than 30 seconds. Okay, let's talk about the different versions of Business Central. Essentials is the version that includes, I'll call it your core, right? Financial management, GL, workflows, bank management, budgets, deferrals, fixed assets, multi-currency. Then you have a light CRM, right? You can have contacts, campaigns, opportunities, and it can track activities related to these campaigns and opportunities. It also has a built-in integration with the Microsoft CRM D365 for sales. It has the supply chain management module, which is quote to cash. You can handle sales quotes, orders, shipping, warehouses, item transfers, item maintenance card. There's attributes for item cards. It's pretty strong in the supply chain management arena. There's HR module. You can track employees and expense management and timesheets. A very strong project jobs module. I've used GP project accounting, and I love Business Central jobs module. It's very easy for the user to learn how to use. It has various WIP calculations. You can send a job quote to a customer via email. You can do all kinds of reporting against job budgets, budgets to actual, and you can post many different types of transactions right to the job. And of course, with Microsoft, we have multiple languages, reason codes, extended text, intrastat reporting, scheduled task, and the Outlook integration. So now, what does Premium include? Premium, you'll receive all the functionality from Essentials. And on top of that, you're going to get service order management and manufacturing. So service order management is a module that if you're a maintenance company or you perform service on equipment, you can actually enter your customer's piece of equipment, serial number, tracking, all that information. And then when you perform service on it, you can track the work orders, you can schedule PMs, you can have dispatching related to your technicians. It's a pretty nice module integrated right into Business Central. Then there's manufacturing. Okay, you can do supply planning, demand forecasting, capacity planning. So, you know, a manufacturing module in Business Central Premium. So that's basically your two versions. Now let's talk about licensing. So premium users are $100 per user per month, which includes your manufacturing and service order management. Essential users are $70 per user per month. There's a team member license for $8 per user per month. And when I did demos before, I used to refer to that as a read-only license, but that's not true because you can send workflow approvals to Business Central. You know, you can also enter timesheets. So you do have some transaction processing capability. So the advantages, additional advantages of Business Central. Well, you have an interface that has a modern look and feel that's cloud-based, right? It's mobile. You can process opportunities on the go. You've reduced your cost because you don't have a server anymore or annual upgrades. Microsoft pushes out updates twice a year. So these automatic updates, you don't have to worry about. Microsoft handles it. You can schedule it, right? So that you know when it's coming. And also, I have a story to tell about these updates. Last year, when the IRS changed the regulation on the 1099 form to include this NEC code, the GP customers, if they were on a current version, they were able to receive a service pack and it accommodated the change. The Business Central customers, Microsoft pushed out an extra update, okay? They wanted to be compliant with the government regulation. So they did a special release where it updated the vendor transactions that were already posted. It updated the vendor card ID. They changed it from miscellaneous, say, to the NEC. They updated their form, okay? And they updated the magnetic media form as well because they can have that filing in Business Central. So that is one of the great advantages of being in the cloud, that you'll get updates like seamless to the user. Also, the increasing integration. I've already talked about the Outlook integration, Word, Excel, and they've actually are extending it into Microsoft Teams now. And the powerful expansion into data analytics, right? You can use their Power BI, connect right into your Business Central online or your on-prem version and do your own reporting and analytics. Okay, next up, additional benefits. Okay, when I do demos, I also mention the online help and the tools, tips, and the videos. So let's consider a user's been using GP for 10 years. You know, it's a transition for them into Business Central, okay? So let's help them out. Microsoft has excellent online documentation, and you can see in this first screenshot, the sales invoice window, down to the left, there's a message. And it references sales invoice details. Well, you can click learn more and go out to the online documentation, or you can take the tour in which it would give you step 1, step 2, step 3, you know, some additional information about entering an invoice. To the right-hand side of the screen, you'll see where there's a video embedded in the online documentation. So when a user says, oh, I don't really remember all the fields I need to enter a customer, they can click on this video and actually, you know, go through a step-by-step instruction online. Excellent help for the user who's transitioning into a new application. Some of the Excel features. So within Business Central, I've mentioned there's data at your fingertips throughout the application. You can drill down into this data, and you can also easily export it to Excel. Once you export it to Excel, feel free to do pivot tables, paste it into another worksheet to do VLOOKUPs or some kind of links into a beautiful spreadsheet, okay? It's very easy to use. Now, the Edit in Excel feature, I'm going to give you an example of how you could use that. Suppose we had a general journal batch and the user entered an incorrect date, and it's a 50-line journal entry. Well, I don't want to really go through line by line and change that date. The Edit in Excel functionality allows me to dump it into Excel, okay? Through this data connector, it automatically happens. It authenticates the user. You have to have security to do it. You can update your dates quickly or change whatever information necessary. And then you click Publish. And the Publish button actually pushes the data back into Business Central. And when it's finished, it said it was successful and the workbook's updated. So that's just one example how you could, you know, fix a large amount of data records, right, in a batch. Okay. All right, now it's time for the Outlook demo. I'm going to demo a sales rep, okay, receives an email from a customer. They would like to place an order for 7 Athens desk chairs, item number 1896-S. So with the integration to Business Central, I can click on my Business Central icon here, click New, and click New Sales Order. Now, when I do that, Business Central recognizes the email address associated with my customer ID. And when it finishes syncing up and finding my name, 2 things are going to happen here. It's going to recognize my item number in the email, 1896-S, and it's going to suggest the line item and say, do you want to use this line item? I'm going to check the box and say, sure. I'm going to check my check mark, at which point Business Central now created a sales order. I'm going to click my new window button, and I'm going to expand it so you can see the sales order. Okay, so this is a sales order in Business Central. The date automatically populated to my system date. I could add a requested delivery date or promise date, a customer PO number. But look what happened to my line item. Because I checked the box, it automatically knew it was item number 1896-S, a quantity of 7. It pulled the price in from the customer, which I can override if necessary, but I don't need to. And then it gave me an extended amount of $7,005.60. So now I can scroll down and check my payment terms. I can check my shipping address, my shipping method, FedEx, everything looks good to me. So now I can send the confirmation to the customer. So I select my menu button and I do email confirmation. So remember, I'm sitting in my car or wherever I may be working from. I now have an order prepared to go to the customer. It's in Business Central. My email's prepared to send the confirmation. At which point I'm just going to do send email. So I think I just processed a new order and it's in Business Central in less than 30 seconds. Pretty impressive. Another feature of the integration with Outlook is that you can contact insights. Now, inside Business Central, there's insights throughout. And what it does is it stores statistical information, but it's up to date about your customer, vendors, or whatever record may be. So if I click on Contact Insights, again, it's going to recognize my email to my customer ID. And it's going to bring back the information related to my customer. So again, I'm going to pop out the window so you can see. And it's going to first show me the customer card, at which point I can click details. And then I could look at my ongoing sales orders. So I'm going to click in the ongoing sales orders, and I'm going to see here's the order that I just created, right? Order 101061 for $7,005.60. My orders, I've confirmed that it's in Business Central, right? And I'm on my way. One last thing I'll show you is that the same menu selection allows us to create sales invoices, orders, credit memos, purchase invoices, purchase orders, or credit memos. Maybe you want to have users create POs and have them go into Business Central and then use our workflow approval process, right, for approvals. Very, very powerful integration. I love to demo that feature. Okay, let's hop back over to our PowerPoint now. And now here's just an example of how you could create a purchase order from Outlook into Business Central. And that will be in your PDF as a reference. Okay, additional advantage. I'm not sure if everybody's aware, but there's a vote on ideas Business Central website. Actually, Microsoft has it for all their applications, not just Business Central. So users can come out to the vote on ideas site. They can suggest functionality improvements or changes. And when users vote on it, or if Microsoft reviews it and then says, yes, that would be excellent functionality for the user, they decide that they are going to roll it out. So they improve the application, they change the functionality, and then they release it in one of the rollouts twice a year. So in this example, okay, a user requested a dimension correction tool, so that if a user accidentally posts an incorrect dimension to a transaction, you don't want to have to reverse the transaction, okay? You want to just be able to change the dimension. So that's what this tool allows us to do. So that is just one completed successful example of functionality improvement from a user that Microsoft, listened and made the change. Okay, now we're going to move to actually planning out a migration. The first step you want to do is get an estimate, okay? It's an investment. You want to put it in your budget and calculate your total cost of ownership. In the total cost of ownership calculation, you want to make sure that you offset your cost with your infrastructure costs, which are going to be eliminated. There isn't any annual enhancement anymore, and there isn't going to be any upgrade cost. So you have to use these costs and offset your investment that you're going to expend, incur implementing Business Central. Also, take advantage of any promotional programs. There's the enhancement dual licensing program. I think that extends out to August 31st. And if you're current on your GP enhancement program, you get a 40% discount. And if you complete a certification with Microsoft, you're applicable for a special price list for nonprofit or government entities. Next, you want to choose what model is best for your company. Software as a service, right? There's a Business Central on-prem. You can keep your service server in-house and have Business Central on the server. Or you can have Business Central on-prem in the Azure cloud, right? You still don't have any infrastructure cost, but you'll have the cloud, you have your Business Central in the cloud. Next, make sure you do the Migration, when your employees are available, okay? They are your subject matter experts. You need them so you can document your current processes, so you can transition them or improve them while moving into Business Central. This means you don't want to do it at year end when the auditors are there or at a month end when the financials have to get out by a certain day. Third parties. Okay, I'm a long-term user of GP and I'm very familiar with ISVs. They actually gave us much needed functionality in GP when it didn't originally exist. So, two things are going to happen around the ISVs. When you move to Business Central, it may already have the functionality you need, so you may not need an ISV. Also, you may need additional functionality that Business Central doesn't have. So you'll go out to AppSource, which is the website which has all the links to all the ISVs that have written functionality improvements for Business Central. And when you select one, you can install a trial version. So I suggest that you do this in your sandbox, not in your production environment, but install it in your sandbox and then take it for a test drive. Data considerations. Okay, I'm calling you out on this one. It's time to housekeep. Clean up those records. Get rid of additional or duplicate customer records, vendor records, inactive. You don't need to migrate them into Business Central. You have an opportunity to start fresh and clean. Also, consider your number of years for financial reporting, okay? Data migration has a cost to it. So if you have 25 years of GL detail, you might not want to bring that in, okay? Really think about the number of years you want to do for your financial trend reporting. Is it 3 to 5 years? Is it 2 to 3? Also, if you want to keep the GP data accessible, you can use data storage features on the Azure Data Lake. It's very inexpensive, and there's a number of query tools you can use. You can use Power BI. You can use the E1 PopDoc tool. So before you actually use the Azure Data Lake, have a plan there on what tool you're going to access the data. Now, the actual data migration from GP to BC. So let's talk about the tools. Microsoft has an out-of-the-box migration tool. You can use it on GP 2015 and later. I do want to add a note here. We have seen a higher rate of success with GP 2016 and later versions of SQL. You can use a hybrid tool, such as the config packages in Business Central, or you can use SQL scripts and config packages. There is also, I already mentioned, the E1 PopDoc Smart List. It has a migration tool associated with it. So it can migrate your data to the Azure Data Lake and also migrate your Smart List favorite views to query the data. What does the migration tool bring over? It'll bring over your master records, your chart of accounts, customers, vendors, items. It'll bring over historical data in summary format, and then you can query this data through Power BI or the Smart List views, and I'll show you that in a second. The checkbook data comes over only outstanding transactions. So you want to make sure that your bank recs are completed and reconciled before you do the migration. Okay. Here's an example of a general ledger account detail brought over into Business Central. You'll see where there's one entry per period, and it does reference it's a migrated transaction. So one period in May, we have a credit of $50. In April, there's a debit of $172,764.13. So this is a similar view that you're going to see if you use the GP migration tool in your GL. So now we're going to look at the Smart List view and looking at transactions. So from within Business Central, if you click all, you can then see that you have menu selection options, Dynamics GP historical receivable transactions, open receivable transactions. So this is what you're going to click on to view the transactions, right, in the historical transaction view. So once you click on it, you're then going to see this view where you have the customer number, document type, the amount, the document date, and the customer name. You can download this into Excel, or you can filter it. And this is your reference, okay? So this is where you're going to see the history and you can reference and query it. So here's some differences, okay? The GP customer transaction view, here's the Adam Park customer ID card for inquiry. You'll notice that SLS 13014 invoice is in the amount of $8,500. When viewing that after migration to Business Central, it would be in the customer ledger entry table. And you can see where SLS 13014 has been brought over with an extension of a record number in the amount of $8,500. Another example, a payables transaction inquiry for the ACE travel vendor. Document number 1001 was originally $553.81. It has a balance owed of $153.81. So when that migrates to Business Central, it's going to bring in the amount owed to the vendor. So this is a vendor ledger entry view in Business Central, and you'll see that it brought in the amount owed to the vendor for $153.81. Okay, next. Steps to take when you're planning for a Business Central migration. Don't do it alone. Partner with us. Give us a call. Call your Columbus account manager. He'll initiate the conversations and discussions needed to progress forward. Very important step is to document your business processes. Discuss with your subject matter experts what processes are important to your business and how we're going to handle them in Business Central. We can help you figure that out. Housekeeping. Clean up those master records. Get ready for your migration. Also, data migration. Have discussions with your consultant and determine which method of data migration is best for your company, which tool to use. Next steps. Contact US Marketing at Columbus Global. Visit our blogs. We constantly have blogs out there on migration or other Microsoft announcements and tools. And there's a link to documentation regarding Business Central. Okay, now we're going to read some feedback about what our customers are saying who've just completed the journey to Business Central. It is extremely customizable. They love how you can sort invoices and purchase orders, and it makes it very convenient to select a batch and send documents through workflow approval. Also, moving from on-prem to Business Central, it was much easier than anticipated, and now they can access data virtually from anywhere. It's a huge plus. The last comment, it increased financial visibility, right? It optimized their supply chain. They improved customer service with data at your fingertips for sales reps and an Outlook integration. Very easy to improve customer service and make them happy. Okay, so now it's time for our Q&A session.